Okay, well, this is very strange. Can you actually hear me? Okay. Brilliant. Well, let's get going. So funny enough, I was actually, okay, I have to get mine. You guys are so loud. It's probably the people behind you. I presented when MadFest started in 2018. I was actually the first ever speaker here on stage. It was quite cool because Dan, I know him well. He's the founder of MadFest, and I just started my own drink called Tenzing. And he said, "Why don't you come do the first ever speech here at MadFest?" And we made an agreement that I'd come back every year to kind of tell you about the journey that I've been on, and effectively talk to you every year about how to take on the big dogs. So I guess all of us here have a certain big dog in their category. You know, someone who has way more resources, way more clients, way more customers, people, all that kind of stuff that you guys are up against, right? And I think we have it at least as much as anyone else, right? We're up against Coca-Cola, Red Bull, Monster, Pepsi, like the biggest dogs in any industry with billions of turnover, millions of budgets, and thousands of people. So how do we do it? Well, I think it all starts at the end of the day with the right product, right? I think it's one of those key no-brainers, but I do want to share it because I think the main reason why a new business or a new innovation or a new startup doesn't work is product market fit, right? It just doesn't, it's not new and it's not relevant. Those are the only two things that are important, right? So when we started, you know, all energy drinks were artificial, high calorie, high sugar, and sickly sweet taste. So we thought it should be possible to create something that's plant-based, low calorie, and refreshing. Who's had a Tenzing before? Was it refreshing? Yeah, good. It could be colder actually than there, but it's quite hot, so sorry. Yeah, so I think that's the first bit. But that's not what I want to, and also I just want to share, I like to share every year when I'm back how we're doing. So at the moment, so we measure all our brand health scores through ProQuo. It's a tool to check how your brand is doing. And on all key measures like innovation, aspiration, but also attraction, we're actually now beating another big dog in this field, which is Red Bull. And I think these are the key aspects you want to be winning on, right? You know, a brand that has momentum, a brand that has aspiration. I want that brand, a brand that has attraction. So we're doing really well. Over the last 6 years, we've slowly crept up and beat them on these key factors. Next to that, we're growing about 5 times faster than the energy drinks category. So we're at the moment, we're the third fastest grower in absolute terms as well. You know, so, you know, obviously there's about 10 brands in this space that are huge, like Monster, Red Bull, Rockstar, Relentless, Purdy's, and we're actually the third fastest in absolute terms as well now. But I think what I believe, if you get your product right, what is the most important thing to win in this time? What would you say is the most pressing issue facing any business right now? I will hear you. If you scream, I can't hear you. So what you say is the most important thing right now? I won't hear you actually. Sustainability, yeah, it could be, but at the moment, really like now. Huh? Cost of living, yeah, all true, but I would say talent. You know, so I think it's article a week ago in The Guardian, it said, you know, finding new people is the most difficult thing, right? And you say having a good team has always been a major, am I screaming or not? No? Seems like I'm screaming to, but I'm fine, okay. Having a good team has always been crucial, but I think now so more than ever, right? It's very hard to attract, retain, and often motivate talent. So how do we do that at Tenzing? Most of them are actually here and ashamed now. I know, Bill, that's the picture you have on Slack. So this, and I always like showing this picture as well, because that's it. There's only 13 of us that are working full-time on Tenzing, and yet we are taking on these huge, you know, growing faster than most of these brands out there that have thousands of people and millions of budget. So this is like, I believe personally in 3 key things to get the right people and that great team that we have into the business. First of all, one of the most important things is doing work that matters. And this is such an interesting topic, right? Because exactly, sustainability was mentioned. And I think, a lot has been said about this, right? The start with why, having a purpose. And it's such an interesting topic, I think, because, we have that very clearly at the heart of what we do. So we have a world-leading sustainability program, right? We are the first brand that is the carbon labels. We're the first soft drink to carbon label. So we know our footprint. We show our footprint on every can. We carbon label here with Carbon Cloud. So we know the exact footprint of every ingredient, of every SKU we have. And then we lower the footprint as much as we can. And then we offset what we cannot, making us the first also carbon negative soft drink in the world. Right? We work with the best companies. We work with Ecology, Rainforest Alliance, Planet Mark. We're B Corp certified. So we do everything we can. And it's our goal to be the world's leading sustainability program. But I always find it quite interesting if you think, like, all the jobs that we do on a day-to-day basis, all the jobs that the 13 of us do on a day-to-day basis, doesn't have a lot to do with sustainability, right? There are, you could argue, jobs that are also done by other companies, right? We go into Tesco and Sainsbury's and make sure we look great on shelf. We place FSDUs. We check price points just like a Coca-Cola rep would. We have someone who does our PR, just like Red Bull person would. So does the sustainability doing like we do does having a clear purpose actually motivate people on a day-to-day level? It's quite an interesting question. And when I was thinking about that question, I had to think about my family. They're here and more ashamed than my teeth. Slightly older now. They don't fit in the backpack anymore. And I thought, actually, funny enough, having kids, I read once that if you have kids, on average, you're less happy than if you don't have kids on a day-to-day level. Apparently, this is true. And, it's true that they cost a lot of money. They're a constant distraction. You're trying to get your work done. It's a welcome distraction, but they're a distraction. You always worry if you're not doing enough, right? You're always thinking, am I giving enough attention? Am I giving them enough time? Am I developing them enough? You're open to relentless critique, especially when they hit this age. I thought, like, if you were born in the 40s, you're a boomer, but I hear that I'm a boomer every single day now. Sparse compliments, they're quite good at that actually, but how many compliments do you actually get? And overall, extremely demanding. And actually, if you think about your sustainability program, it's exactly the same. It's extremely costly, costs us a lot of money. It's a constant distraction, because you could also argue how many people that drink us really care about our sustainability program. So it's a constant distraction from us selling the brand in, getting PR, all that stuff that we should maybe be doing to sell more cans is distracting us from that. You're actually, funny enough, if you go down this rabbit hole of this sustainability, you're constantly worrying if you're not doing enough, right? Because you're thinking, oh, well, how can't we get it lower? Why can't we still offsetting this? Can't we get our carbon footprint lower? So I think this is a key drive once you're on that journey that worries constantly. You're open to relentless critique. People, I get like, you Himalayan rock salt in there. That has to come all the way here. What's up with that? You're offsetting your carbon. That's greenwashing. All that kind of stuff. We get critique and very, very little compliments on the back of it. We do get a lot. It tastes great. We love it, but there's a lot of compliments. So overall, it's extremely demanding. But I think the same thing applies for both. Is that somehow deep down, it's extremely fulfilling. And I think that's what also when we work for Tenzing, it's just extremely fulfilling to know that what you're doing does something good. So although not on a day-to-day level, on a day-to-day level, sometimes they're annoying. On a deeper level, I wouldn't want it any other way, of course. So I think that's the main thing. The first thing that I think is really important is doing work that matters. Secondly, doing work that matters also applies to your own job. Everyone at Tenzing, and I think that is one of the advantages of being a startup, everyone at Tenzing does work that has an impact on Tenzing. I used to be head of marketing for Red Bull for about 8 years in Europe and the UK. And I always think if I wouldn't have been there at that time, Red Bull would have still been pretty successful. Would have still been around, doing well. But I think without us, without this team, there would be no Tenzing, right? And everyone has their piece of work within the team that allows them to be super successful and have a huge impact on the work they're doing. And I also thought, when I thought of this, I thought what's also interesting, I think, when you're in a startup, is that how tough it is. I should say Garen was no longer with us, works for Proco now, but he was one of the first people ever to join, and it's extremely tough. Still to this day, I just moved to Holland, launching Tenzing there. It's extremely tough. And in the beginning, especially those first 2 years, I'd come home, or Cindy, my wife, would come home, and I'd be on the couch, literally broken, and she'd immediately see if it was a bad day or not. And it's extremely tough. Because people tell you they don't want you, it's never going to work, all that stuff. And I think, but at one point, it took me about 2 years to realize, is that when you get that high, it's so much higher because the lows are so low. You cannot have that high without that low. It's like, if you would take an elevator to the top of Everest, it wouldn't feel as fulfilling once you're at the top. And I think in many bigger companies, we try and take away the hard stuff. We try and make jobs really cool and really great. But I think actually suffering as being part of the job actually makes you enjoy it more once you've reached the top. We do have some clear cultural elements in the team too I want to share to keep the rewards going. One is we celebrate every win. We use Slack, and we have something that's called the drum roll. If you don't do this, I'd highly recommend. It's really great. Someone has a tiny win, how small or big it might be, we drum roll. So someone starts a drum roll, everyone drum rolls, and then you kind of reveal what you achieved. So, the team got like one Rebel, the coolest gym chain in the UK, 5 years in the making to get that one in, and we managed to land it. So it's a drum roll, and then everyone celebrates. The other thing that we do is what we call Good News Friday. So I launched this right in the beginning, when on Fridays, if someone would tell me it's not selling in Whole Foods, I would be gutted the whole weekend. So this, genuinely, this is the best mental health thing that I ever did personally. And then we just made this rule, you're only allowed to share good news on Friday. So save some news on Wednesday, Thursday, save your drum rolls for Friday, and then you go into the weekend with good news feeling, which is really good thing that does. And so it obviously doesn't mean that we don't share the bad news, we just wait till Monday. And then lastly, we give each other the freedom to do that work that matters and do it in your own way. I remember when I left, at any company I'd worked for, one of the reasons I want to start my own business is because I basically hated someone to tell me what to do. I've always had nearly too much of a bad reaction to bosses, to be honest. I've had some great bosses, but I just hated them to tell me what to do. So partly it was emotional, but I think also just the fact that on average what's best, right? There'd be people in international countries telling me how to do my job, or there'd be some sales dude who was my boss who told me how to do my marketing. At the end of the day, on average, I knew better. And that's the same with the discussion that we have in our teams. At the end of the day, someone's doing their job, they will know better than someone else. So we have some clear things. So I thought if I start Tenzing, I don't want to be the only one who benefits. I want to have a flat hierarchy or a self-managed team. And this is how we do that. So we don't have any bosses. So usually at a normal company, you get a boss or your boss hires you. At Tenzing, you choose your own coach. So the first 3 months, you get someone assigned. And after 3 months, you choose your coach who will help you, support you. And you can fire that coach if you don't like him anymore. So it hasn't happened till now, but it doesn't matter. You don't have to say, I want to fire my coach. I really want to learn someone from that person right now. And you change your coach. And that allows you not to have that kind of strange thing. I remember when I saw my first job, I wanted a bigger team. I actually did that. Some of you might have done that or recognize that. You go like, no, I have a team for 2. Why is my colleague who started at the same time have a team of 5? Obviously, you wouldn't tell your boss you wanted a bigger team, but you say that strategically that team fits better in my team. So then I have 5 people I can brag about. So I think and I think it's an unnatural situation where you get to choose your own coach, and actually that coach feels very happy when he's chosen. So it's a turnaround world. Secondly, instead of saying this is your job role, you get to decide on your job role, of course. Again, this is no easy process. We had a lot of bumps along the road, but you get to choose your own role. Instead of having your targets, you say these are my commitments. Again, of course your coach might say, well, those commitments could be a bit higher, but I think the language is important there, right? These are my personal commitments that I'm going to go for. And I think lastly, I think it's very important, we had a great session yesterday with the whole team where we had planned our 5-year journey ahead. It's very hard to plan that in a fast-moving, fast-growing business. But I think, in normal companies, you should be really focused on moving up the ladder. What we saw yesterday when we did this is really focusing on personal growth and, let's say, impact that you have within your role. So you're actually, instead of saying, I want to have a team of 10 by then, you're saying, I want my role to be bigger on an international level, for instance, and really increase your impact and your personal growth. So those are kind of the key things that we make sure that you can get to decide your own fate. So then, I think I have to wrap it up. So how do we take on the big dogs? By not focusing on it at all. And I think if we focus on, creating impacts in our, with the stuff that we do, having impact with your own job on the company and on the bigger mission, and then you can decide how you want to fill in that role, I think that allows us to really enjoy the journey. And at the end of enjoying that journey, we might beat a big dog, but who knows?